Hello and welcome back to the Kitchen Table Modelers Workshop. My name's Ian and there's my modelling bench where I do all my work. As you can probably tell, there's a box on the desk that usually means one thing: kit review day. And this kit has actually just come in the post today. I've had it on order for a little while and it's turned up, which is really good. Border models, 1/35th scale, Spitfire MkVb. It's a line of aircraft kits that I've been quite interested in, to be honest with you. I think they've got some really interesting aircraft. Certainly starting off with the Stuka, we've got the BF-109, FW-190, we've got the Spitfire, we've got a Japanese plane. So the kit line is growing very interestingly, and I think there's a notable absence of other kits that could join this lineup. But I was really keen to get a kit from the line and see what they are, see if it's a scale I'm looking to branch into. Certainly it should fill the gap between 1/48 scale and 1/32 scale, but we're all interested to see what the detail is, the build quality and such like. So enough waffling for me. Let's get the camera on the table, we'll have a look inside the box and see what we get. We're on the desk and as always, box art. Well, fantastic box art from Jason. Excuse me whilst I have a quick drink of tea. And I think Jason does a lot of box art for the Chinese model companies. And yeah, it's fantastic. Action shot, 3 BF-109s on a Spitfire Mark V. He's in trouble. He's got some damage on the wing. Doesn't fill you with much confidence if you're the pilot in that aircraft, but anyway, it is what it is. So, border models, Supermarine Spitfire MkVb, includes PE parts and decal, includes clear parts, complete engine, weapons, interior structure, and includes an air bomb. Well, there we go. Kit number is BF004 in 1/35th scale. If we look on the end, we've got some of the CAD rendering on the edge. We've got a repeat of the box top on the end. On this side, we've got the either side profile color of the aircraft plus a picture of the decal sheet, and then we've got all the details of the kit there. Nice sturdy box, top opening, which is good. And then we look inside, it's got quite a few frames in there. So let's delve through and see what we've got. We've got a number of small frames, we've got a couple of larger frames. There's the decals, the photo etch and the instructions. So as always, let's have a look at this stuff first and then we'll look at the plastic. So, instructions. So, a repeat of the box top picture here. What does it say? Oh, it includes 20mm metal gun barrels. It doesn't say that on the box top. Photo etch parts, decals, clear parts, complete engine, weapons, interior structures. Includes canopy, paint and camo paint stencils. Oh, interesting. Includes air bombs. So slight differences between what it says in the instructions and what it says on the box top. So we'll have to look at that. So what have we got here? First page, we've got a bit of history of the aircraft. And then the second page, we've got the full sprue tree map, PE, glaze parts and decals. Don't see any metal barrels. Right. Step 1. Starting with the Merlin engine. So working through page 1 is building the engine up all together into the engine cradle, coolant pipes. Moving on to step 2. We've got instrument panel, bulkhead, rudder pedals, control stick, possibly for adjusting the height of the chair. Bringing it all together. There's the control yoke. There's the seat bulkhead and seat framing. Part 3 is the seat, putting the photo etch belts on. We've got some armor plate here as well in PE. Part 4, we're doing the Hispano cannons and the ammunition drums. We've got the actuators here, something to do with the undercarriage, I think. That's all going in to the lower wing. One piece lower wing by the looks of it. Moving on, part 5. Carrying on, we've got the ammunition feed trays and the ammunition belts. That'll be for the 5.0 Brownings. Machines going in, possibly even 303 Brownings. We've got pieces here for the flaps. And then we have what looks to be ailerons and more flaps here in part 6. Part 7, we've got all the gun bay covers going down, bringing the top wing onto the bottom wing, adding the aileron and the flaps. And then part J1 and J2, it looks like we're putting lots of little PE bracketry in for the Zeus fasteners for the engine cowlings to go on later. So it's looking like quite a detailed kit. Part 8. We're completing detail on the interior of the fuselage halves. So we've got J1 and J2, so your port and starboard sides. Building up the detail. We've also got the radio box here, so we're obviously going to have option for the radio box hatch to be open. Moving on, we've got a fuel tank, a rudder, and a rear tail wheel assembly. Part 9. Obviously we've painted and detailed all this, bringing it together. Now my immediate observation is there's absolutely no paint call outs on this whatsoever. So it'd probably be worth downloading off of ScaleMates and Edard instructions for a MkVb to get all the paint call outs. Part 10, we're bringing the fuselage together with the wings, horizontal stabilizers, all coming together. And then we've got the radio hatch here, pose it open or closed, whatever you like. 11, we've got the front of the engine. We've got the exhausts being built up and put on. We've got the canopy with the armoured front glass, the sliding section and the rear part of the canopy, and we're also bringing on the engine covers. Right, part 12, oil coolers, radiators, all the sundry parts, pitot tube, and then we've got the option for the bomb if you choose to have it on. I probably won't, to be quite honest with you, but that's just me. 13 is the oil cooler, moving down through the wheels, undercarriage, bringing it all together, and there is obviously the option for wheels up or wheels down. I may be wanting to do this one in flight, depending on whether or not there's a pilot, which there probably isn't, knowing my luck. Step 14, propeller, top engine cowling, bringing it all together. Job done, plane's finished. Well, there we go. Last page. It's the only page you've got a colour call out. We've got paints from MiG Ammo, but we do have the other names for them. So we've got dark green, duck egg green, sky type S, medium brown, RLM 70, ocean grey, RLM 04, gold yellow, and then red. So that's the paint call outs. We've got decal placements for the pilot access door and the instrument cluster. And then we obviously have decal placements for the fuselage stenciling, and we have just a simple color print of how to paint the camouflage, and obviously we are just matching the colors to the color chart at the top. This one here is for FL John Gibson, Spitfire MkVb, Bravo Lima 384, number 457, Royal Australian Air Force Squadron 1942. So mid-war Spitfire. And that's it. So very basic instructions. Quite disappointing that there is not a single color call out. I have to say that they've really dropped the ball here. It would not be too much to put in color call outs to your instructions, and it certainly would lift the kit up a level, and it would make it more appealing to purchasers that they're not going to have to scrabble around trying to find color call outs elsewhere. But if we're all honest, finding a different set of instructions to get color call outs isn't going to be a problem. Right, photo etch, really quite nice, very fine attachment points, should clean up nicely. What more can you say? It's photo etch. Decals. Oh, they are bright, really bright colours. It looks like my one's actually got a scratch in it here, and I'm not too sure about the red and the blue. To me, they might be a little bit off. However, it'll be interesting to see what light they are on the painted model. When it comes to whether or not they're in register, I have to say they are in register. There doesn't appear to be too much carrier film. They're nicely satin, so they should blend in well to a satin finish. And the stenciling is easy to read, so yeah, it's nice. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. That's the first for me because I've never ever laid eyes on a border model aircraft kit for me, so I am on the learning curve. Right, let's have a look at the actual kit parts. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller sprues and 2 bigger sprues here. So let's get into the meat of it. Now we've got them on the table, we may as well just go get all the little ones out of the way, and then we'll save the big ones for last. They'll stand up. No, they probably won't. Right, first one that's come to hand is the one that's got a lot of the interior pieces of the fuselage. So it's nice that they're individually bagged. Plastic feels nice. It's not that crisp sort of Hasegaru type plastic. It's a little bit softer. I would say it's probably more akin to what Academy is producing with their plastics. But the level of detail on the kit parts are really, really nice. We've got very fine moulding, very little flash, and the gun barrels have got slide molded hollowed ends, which is good. There's very minimal burring on the parting line, and the attachment points are very fine. Eject pin marks on the rear of parts aren't going to be seen, but I tell you what, they're really quite shallow. A few swipes of a sanding stick and they're going to be completely gone. We've got here the Hispano cannon barrels with the wing cowlings and spring ends. They're beautifully molded. For plastic detail, it's absolutely spot on. I don't see a problem in that at all. I think they're going to paint up and detail really nicely. Right, next one. So, sorry, that was sprue C. We're now moving on to sprue E. So, sprue E. We've got oxygen bottles, throttle quadrants. We have very fine bracing. This one has broken. It's that fine, but it'll be able to be glued whilst it's still on the sprue. Not quite sure what this is for, but I'm sure it'll become apparent when we put the kit together. Nice looking ammunition belts, tail wheel. These are ammunition canisters for the Hispano cannons, and these may well be the bodies of the Hispano cannon. Rudder pedals possibly, and the bomb actually looks not too bad. We'll go on the reverse. Minimal ejector pins, no flash, minimal burring, some really nice textured detail on these parts here. All in all, a nice part. Right, next sprue is, that's frame D we're looking at here. So this looks to be some of the engine parts. So the famous Rolls-Royce Merlin. Again, beautifully moulded. We've got the engine block in 2 halves, the sump, the intake manifold. We have the HT leads, another set of HT leads. We have obviously the propellers, and we've got the cone, the boss, all the different parts of the engine. We've got here the exhaust pipes, and we've got the engine cradle parts here. Beautifully moulded, I have to say. The mouldings on this are really rather exquisite, and I'm really quite impressed, to be fair. Shame they didn't have colour callouts, but you can't have everything. Well, actually, for the price you pay for this kit, you ought to have them. Right, sprue F. Sprue F is full of small sundries. So we have we've got all the parts of the hinge mechanism. So those rods that's on the other sprue we were just looking at, they will be the hinging rods for the flaps and the ailerons, and possibly the horizontal stabilizers as well. So interesting to see how they've done that. I suppose if you want to make them a bit more solid, you could replace the extruded plastic parts for solid metal solid metal wire, just to strengthen it up. Right, we have, I'm assuming this is part of the undercarriage assembly. We've got the control column. We've got odds and sods for, or greeblies as some folk call them, for the interior. Bits of radio, more pressurized containers, very fine parts. Again, minimal ejector pins on the back. You're not going to see any of these. Minimal bearing, no flash. Very nice. Have to compliment on the quality of the moulding. Right, next sprue is sprue A. So the wings. Nice big sprue, and one piece wing. Now, I'm looking at this. This is the first time I've seen it, and I am going to stick my neck on the block and say this is an exquisite bit of moulding. Now, if you've just watched my Revell Catalina build, that was tooled in 1996, and it was recessed panel lines and recessed rivets, and it looked fantastic, I have to say. But the quality and the finesse in the textures on the plastic or the surface of the skin of the aircraft, the fineness of the rivets as they've been moulded in, they're all nice and even and balanced. The panel lines are beautifully scribed. All in all, that is an absolutely lovely bit of moulding. And it's a fair size. Let's have a look. It's not a small wing. That is just over 32 centimeters. So that's a good size of kit. That's going to build a nice model. Not huge like a 32nd, just a nice balance between 32nd and 48th. We've got some detail on the top side of the wheel well, and then we've got minimal detail where we're going to be building the gun bays. Now, when I'm building this, will just be closing it all up. I'm not want any of the hatches open. And as I said, I may even be posing this one in flight if I can get a pilot for it. If not, it'll be on the ground and the cockpit will be open, but the engine bay won't be. But I'm really impressed with that. The Zeus fasteners are really nice on the engine cowlings, and we've got some really nice detail on the ailerons, which are the metal version rather as the fabric version. Whether that's right or not, I don't know, but yeah, all in all, I'm quite happy with that. That's a nice wing. Right, last but not least is sprue B. And this is the fuselage sprue. And it also contains, so we've got the fuselage halves, we've got the fin, we've got the horizontal stabilizers, we've got the horizontal stabs here as well, flaps, radiator. Do we have the oil cooler? Don't think we do. Certainly got the upper cowling and the chin cowling. We've also got the main tires, wheel hubs, wheel well covers. Looking on the inside, right, we do have a couple of ejector pins. We've got one there, and there's some ejector pins in the detail, which is a little disappointing, I'll have to say. Going to be a little bit of work to get those out. I can just show you them. You can see in the reflection the ejector pins. That's a shame. Yeah, really quite disappointed there. The wheel wells also look to be, these look to be a little heavy in the riveting department here. I'm no expert on the Spitfire, so I might be wrong, but they look a little bit overscale. But with a bit of work and a bit of perseverance, I can think this will be a good model. Now, the exterior surface detail of this kit is exquisite. Again, very much in keeping with the wings. I'm not sure if the Spitfire had heavily joggled panels, that you had these offset over one. But not being an expert means I'll just take what I get. And I like what I see here. This is looking really rather nice. So I have a feeling this will build up into a reasonable sized kit. The fuselage halves themselves are, what size is that? 24 centimeters? No, 23 centimeters long. So it's going to be a good sized kit when it's done. So there we go, that's all the sprues. Now, last but not least, we've got the glazing. And, oh dear, that's a shame. I was really optimistic of this being good, but I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bit of scratching or dulling of the canopy at the top where it's been rubbing. The flat pieces are fine, there's no distortion, but the blown center section isn't the best. Now, I don't know if it's something to do with the molds not being polished, or it's just a problem with flow of styrene through the mold, but quite distorted. Now, if you were having this with a pilot in, it might detract from it. If you're having it on the desk, canopy open so you can see inside the cockpit, might not be so much of a problem. That's probably how I'm going to be displaying mine, but the canopy itself is, if I was giving it marks out of 10, I'll probably give it a 5, 6 at the most. Room for improvement, so there is a bit of distortion in that center section, but there's nothing I can do about it now. I've got the kit. So let's get the camera back up on me and we'll have some final thoughts. So there we are, border models, 1/35th scale Spitfire MkVb. Thoughts? Well, let's look at the positives. Positives are good plastic, really nice plastic, excellent detail, We've got some beautiful recessed pan lines. We've got some beautiful recessed rivets. It's all very much even and sharp throughout the whole model. There's some really, really nice interior detail parts. So we've got the full engine. We've got the full interior cockpit detail. We've also got the little radio box on the backside of the fuselage. We've got gun bays. We've got wheel wells. So it's got a lot of detail. You know, it's really, really nice. We've got decals that seem to be nice. Not sure about the colour register of them, whether the colours are quite right, but actually nice satin decals, minimal cavalry film, and you can read all the stencil data for the aircraft, so it will look good. We've also got photo etch, so we've got photo etch harness, there's photo etch for the wheel wells, there's even photo etch for the Zeus fasteners for the framing. So if you want to have the engine cowlings off, you've got the options of super detail in the engine bay, which is fantastic. So really, really loads and loads of good parts about it. Bad parts, well, the canopy. I'm actually disappointed about the canopy. Yes, the flat parts of the canopy are sharp, clear, and look really nice. And yes, the canopy's got very nice defined raised framing around the glazing. But the blown center section canopy, sliding canopy, terrible distortion. I don't know what's gone on in that mold, but whether it's something to do with plastic flow or it physically is the mold's not been polished very well, there's a lot of distortion on that center section. So you're either going to have the thing posed open so you can see the interior. If you have it closed, you're not going to see much interior. What you do see will be warped. So that's a real big shame. The other big shame for this kit is the fact that there's no color callouts in the instructions. Absolute schoolboy error for Border. If you think about the price of this kit, it's roughly around the £65–75 mark UK. If you're paying that much money for a kit, you'd expect to get color callouts. You wouldn't expect to have to go on to ScaleMates and, for example, download the EDARD 5B instructions to get an accurate color callout. You know, all modelers expect to do a little bit of research if they want to refine their kits and get it just so. But if you're paying that much money, I mean, even if you're paying 20 quid to the model, you'd still expect a basic color callout. So a huge negative against this kit is the fact that there is no color callout for any of the interior detail, which means a lot more work for the modeler. Some people will not be bothered with that. Some people, it'll really make the difference between buying the kit and not buying the kit. Me, on the other hand, I got a screaming deal on this kit. I got it really cheap, hugely marked down. So I couldn't resist it. I had to buy it. Now, I'm actually going to go and build this kit because I'm really keen to see how it goes together. I've never built a Border 35th kit before now, so I've heard good things about them. So let's see if it translates into good things with this kit. And then when we're finished, we'll come back and we'll repraise what I've said now. So at the moment, my opinion is it's recommended, but with a caveat of trying to find it as cheap as you can. But also look at the product range that Border puts out for 35th scale and see if there's another one on it that maybe sparks your interest a bit more, because they've got a good range at the moment. So they've got this, they've got the FW190, the BF109, the JU87 Stuka, and there's the new Japanese torpedo bomber. So it's got a good range, but the options are huge for what they could fill that range with. And that's the one plus point of this whole range, is the 135th scale in between 148th and 132nd, and also marries in with 135th armor scale. So if you're into dioramas and vignettes, you know, we're starting to get with prayers answered, and that we've got the same scale aircraft as we do armored vehicles. And for me, I would be urgent to see Border models look at some iconic World War II warbirds. Things like P-40 Warhawk or Tomahawk, P-47 Thunderbolt, Hawker Hurricane, Hellcat, Corsair. God, do you imagine that? 135th Corsair, dream kit. All the MiGs, the Russian early MiGs, Zeros. The warbirds from the Second World War, the choice is endless. And I think Border seems, because they're really investing in this scale, They really need to invest wholeheartedly and just look at what sells on the market and go for it on their kit production. Me personally, if it isn't a Hawker Hurricane next, I really would want to see either P47 or my ultimate kit in 135th would be an F4U Corsair. But we'll just have to wait and see that one. As it stands, this has been the Spitfire MkVb. It's a recommended, but not a highly recommended. But we'll see if that changes when we do the build. Guys, if you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to stick them below. And thank you for sticking with it this far. If you've gotten this far, I know I've waffled a bit. If you like what you see and you want to support the channel, please feel free to stick the thumbs up and hit the notification bell and subscribe. That all helps grow the channel. So until next time, guys, happy modeling, take care and stay safe.